broke the rules. He went to the above world.
A man was drowning. I had to save him.
This obsession with humans has to stop.
I just want to know more about them. Ariel, don't!
Poor child. I can help you. You can't live in that world unless you become a human yourself.
Is that even possible?
That's what I live for.
Da 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 da! You sound insane. You realize that? Yeah. The whole world gone crazy. Seriously? Yeah. It's showtime.
Welcome back, Man Fam. Hope you're having a great summer out there and enjoying the summer movie season. I know we are. Plenty of movies to talk about coming up here and that we've already talked about. So make sure you're checking out the past few weeks. We've talked Guardians. We're going to be talking Indiana Jones here pretty soon. So all the big summer movies of 2023 will be talked about here on Mad About Movies on the main feed. But we have a throwback feed, VIP, Patreon feed as well. If you want to make sure we keep doing podcasts, that's the best way to support us. People ask us, can we donate, buy a shirt? Well, really the best way to do that is to get something in return for yourself, which is more episodes. So madaboutmoviespodcast.com/VIP. Get you those more episodes. It's going to be a good one this week, fellas, because we're talking Godzilla 1998, one of the worst movies of all time. We're talking all-time flops in the VIP this week, this year. That's a theme. So Godzilla 1998 is the topic for the feed this week there. madaboutmoviespodcast.com/VIP. Get you access. Fellas, good to be back here. Where should we begin? With The Little Mermaid, the Disney remake version. Brian, I know you went to the theater for this. Did you have to roll solo, or was the kid down for it?
Well, my wife was really excited to see this one.
Okay.
My wife, and I'm gonna bring it back. I'm gonna keep going. Cooper was not real interested, and it was like, well, my parents were out of town. Lindsay's mom was out of town. His best friend that he spends a lot of time with, they were out of town. I was like, I'm sorry to tell you, you're coming to see the movie. Like, I don't know, we're the mean parents that are dragging you to a movie. Wow, total jerks here.
Abusive.
Yeah, we're super woke, the two of us, And so anyway, we all went to see it together. I think he had a good time with it. Lindsay really loved it. Really enjoyed it. Packed theater, that was cool. I feel like even Fast X wasn't a packed theater for me. I think for us, Kent, it felt like it was maybe more than halfway full, but not totally full. The three of us went to see it and had a pretty good time with it.
Awesome. Well, this certainly has families in mind, and pretty good performance at the box office last weekend. Let's start there. Let's compare and contrast The Little Mermaid to a few of the other live action remakes of recent past by Disney. So this one made $95 million in the opening week, 3 days, but I think 118 in the over the course of Memorial Day weekend, so like through Monday.
Mm-hmm.
So let's round that out. Let's say 105, right? Something like that. Okay.
Sure.
The last one that came out, believe it or not, was Cruella. I know the reputation has been that they just keep cranking these out, but yeah, they are. I mean, a few of these have been put on Disney Plus, and we had Peter Pan, we had Pinocchio kind of stashed on Disney Plus. But when I went back and looked at it, they hadn't released these nearly to the amount that I had thought in my mind.
Sure.
I thought they were putting one of these out every 6 months, and has not been the case at all. So I guess defend Disney a little bit for not putting as many of these out as they possibly could. So the last one was Cruella in 2021. Didn't do great, obviously, for $20 million opening weekend. And then Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, was in 2019, and it did $30 million opening weekend. So that one did not catch on. But earlier that summer, The Lion King, 191 in 2019. So basically double what The Little Mermaid pulled in.
Crazy. Yeah.
That surprises me because I thought The Little Mermaid had just as much, if not more, appeal than The Lion King. I am wrong. And then Aladdin is probably the most comparable one in terms of the trajectory that it's going. Because in its opening weekend, it pulled in 91. So this one, 95. I think this will probably have a little bit better legs, better word of mouth than Aladdin did. But it's almost dead on with where Aladdin was through right now. And Aladdin, at the end of the day, ended up making 1 billion worldwide. Basically, right on the nose.
Yeah.
700 million of that was from international with Aladdin. So I don't know. This will have the international pull that one did, but wow. So this is on track for a bill, not on track for the Lion King numbers though. And I was thinking this might have had Lion King potential. And then Beauty and the Beast, I think this might be most comparable to, I don't know, IP around the same time, comparable story, all that kind of stuff. Came out in 2017. It did 174 opening weekend. So way more than this still. But there's a little comparison for you, Brian, as I pass it off to you for some general thoughts, takes, and reaction to those numbers.
You know, these movies, there are some really good things about this movie, I felt like, and I thought it did some interesting things, and there's a cultural conversation here that's really important too, which is great, and I thought it did a great job with that stuff. These movies, I think, maybe more than any other, make me feel like a movie critic, snob, curmudgeon kind of person. It's because the deal is these all do really well, and we don't really like any of them. And I think for me, it's maybe especially me, I mean, I love blockbuster movies, and I think I have pretty broad taste when it comes to it's there's not too much that, like, you almost have to go out of your way, I think, at this point to make like a blockbustery broad movie for me just to be like, this is terrible. And so almost all these movies, we see them, and I think our general reaction, I mean, spoiler alert, I like this one more than most of the others in this run. But even still, like, I see him, and then we generally are kind of like, meh, not really, I don't really dig this, or what's the point, or whatever else, and we talk about it, and we don't really dig it. And then, like, every single person in my normal life is like, I saw The Lion King, and I freaking loved it, you know? And then I have to be like, oh, yeah, cool. Or if they ask me what I think, then I'm like, you know, it's fine. It wasn't really my, you know, because I don't want to be movie snob guy ever. And you guys, I think, are generally in the same boat.
No, I
so
relish it.
Yeah,
You do not see my back piece.
Cards.
It says movie snob in Old English.
Mine.
Your pinky's out. Yeah. On your
if someone tells me they like The Lion King, I take my brandy snifter that I always have on me and my cane, and I beat the crap out of them with both.
Monocle.
Yeah,
it's good.
Yeah.
Got to keep that cane.
I always have
handy.
a brandy snifter. For those that haven't seen me in the real world,
I know what you're saying, Brian, in the fact that, like, these aren't offensively bad movies, but the industry side of us, the critic side of us, knows that these are so cash grabby that we can't help but know that.
The thing is, like, they are cash grabby, but they're, you know what? I would walk that back even. They are designed to make lots of money, and they do that very, very well. You know, as much crap as we give The Lion King, and I think rightfully so, like, I think part of the issue with The Lion King is the ambition of it. Yeah. And that's a weird thing to say about a movie that we typically would group in with cash grabs. And, you know, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, maybe a little bit different. I don't know. Beauty and the Beast has a central problem, and it's just that the lead is rough. I mean, Emma Watson's just not very charismatic, and especially in that role. And Aladdin, to me, I think is like maybe the worst one in terms of like feeling like a cash grab, because it's just like, well, we got Will Smith, and then that's kind of, you know, that's all we're really doing here. But these do make a ton of money, and that money does pay for other movies that get made. And more to the point, there's a wide section of the movie going audience that this is I mean, this movie has a 95% audience score. When I pass it off to y'all, look up and see what some of those others were on Rotten Tomatoes audience score. I mean, it's doing its job. All of these movies are doing their jobs. I try to keep that in mind with most movies, but these ones in particular, I've gotten to where I'm more willing to give them a pass than I was previously, and I'm sure someone's like, because it's Disney and not DC or Warner Brothers or whatever. And then I don't know, maybe there's some truth to that, but really, I think it's more that just my wife loved this movie. Everyone in our theater seemed to really love this movie. Every person who's going to be in my normal life over the next couple of weeks that sees this is going to say, "Man, I really love the Little Mermaid." And I don't know. Sometimes I just have to feel. I feel like, okay, maybe we're just wrong, and that's okay because I don't mind being wrong. We like I always say, we're gonna give you our real opinion on things. These movies are maybe just not quite made for us, and that's okay. There's still criticisms that I have that I think we can levy at this, but overall it's my whole thesis there that I've been going on for an hour is just there aren't a lot of big broad movies that make me feel like movie snob curmudgeon guy, and these kind of represent those to me, 'cause I don't think I'm ever going to enjoy them as much as broad audiences do. And I don't really love that, if I'm being honest, but it's just kind of the truth of it. Anyway.
Yeah, they don't have the, I don't know the term I should use, nerddom that I don't know, a lot of blockbusters have. Even Fast and Marvel, they all have kind of the core nerd fan base that you can kind of latch onto. These these kind of do, but like, these are the least offensive kind of movie you could make would be something like this, in my opinion. And I know there's people that are offended by this, and I can't get over that, and that's a different discussion,
Yeah,
but like,
for sure, yeah.
To me, this is the least risky thing you could do at Disney. And talking to your point of like, these are designed to make money. Absolutely, they are. I saw a stat last week that said Disney, I have it right here. Disney spends $10 billion a year on their parks, just keeping them open and paying the bills. $10 billion. And so if you split that up per day, that's $3.5 million per day per park that they have to spend. There's some aspects of their business that's like, okay, some of this is solely to make money, and that's fine. Right. This is an example of that, and that's totally fine with me. Doesn't take risks. It doesn't change the source material in any kind of particular way. It's a super easy remake of a easy, successful property, right? But Disney has so many aspects of their business that take risks. Walt Disney Pictures is honestly a small part of it, and they need to keep the mouse cranking. They need to keep the brand alive somehow, some way. Right. And this is the way they do it. It's fine. Sure.
Yeah, I think, look, I mean, not only is it okay they do it, they've as a publicly traded company, they have a fiduciary responsibility to do that.
Right.
And all of that feeds, that's where this gets cloudy, right? When you have a creative enterprise that's also a capitalistic enterprise. And then you have, yes, all those parks things, but these are the feeder mechanism that it's all a funnel, right? Top of funnel is Walt Disney Pictures, and end of funnel is the whatever Little Mermaid churro that you get at and all the steps along the way that get you to that park to spend that $1,500 is part of that. But like, I would argue that they have the ultimate nerd fan base and loyal fan base in children over like Fast and Furious and something. Like, they don't have like the niche nerd fan base or whatever, but like these have the ultimate like loyal new to this fan base in like everyone or 80% of kids that are under 10 are like interested in most of the stuff that they're doing on this product line. I'm not one of those people. I actually didn't especially enjoy this movie whatsoever, but I get it. Like, if I was a Disney shareholder, I would just be constantly, as long as these are making $1 billion,
right?
Like, we have the rights to this, we have to do this. And again, like, not everyone is, right? Most people are paying customers interested in, creative and innovative filmmaking and all that. So it gets complicated. Like this is Disney's what? I don't know. I don't know what the Fortune rankings are, but they can't be too far down that list. So like they like have to do this in some ways, and it kind of sucks on some level sometimes. And sometimes you have that awesome alignment where those things work. Like you make something cynically, not necessarily cynically. You make something with profit in mind. Whether that comes right off the movie, to Ken's point, or to the parks later on. All that to say, like sometimes you do all that for all those reasons, and you make something really cool that has this great mass appeal and is thrilling to the world at large. And sometimes, so like I get why they do it. It's just it's a really murky thing to navigate, and I do think we do forget a lot that they're publicly traded, like that they kind of, I don't know, they have to get the most out of the IP that they own in every
and they
way.
get a lot of crap for not having like original successful things recently.
Sure.
They've had a lot of really new, like Encanto is huge. Frozen is huge,
Yeah,
you know? I mean, I think they're still cranking out original new stuff. It's just not, I mean, eventually they're going to run out of these to remake. I mean, they're already remaking Lilo and Stitch. They announced very soon Moana is coming. So like they're running out of prime Disney animated movies to remake. And then what's the go-to strategy for making money? The July release. I don't know.
And, you know, to defend them a bit, like, you know, whatever, 4 original movies came out this week. And they all bombed. Like,
totally.
So, you know, is Disney kind of at fault for part of that? Sure. On some level, right? When they kind of, you know, that's where it becomes this, but it is this holistic thing. Whereas if this is the environment and this is what, you know, you can do Little Mermaid for $200 million and make $1 billion, and versus, you know, you spend $20 million on some new original idea and make 3, you know, companies are going to continue to spend to the Little Mermaid route until they, you know, the Marvel drip has dried up a bit lately. But until the market really pushes back, they're going to keep doing it.
Yeah, it's a weird deal because I mean, that's a great point about all the original movies, Richard, because I think we want that. I mean, I want to have more movies that aren't $200 million franchise entries and stuff. A lot of those movies get pushed to Netflix or Amazon or wherever else. I would like to have more of those things happen, but also, like when we were doing the movie draft, getting ready for that, I looked at all these and I was happy to see so many original movies on the slate. And there are actually quite a few, especially early summer and late summer. You know, more often than not, June and July. That's you know, hardly anything that's original. But there were a lot of May and August original movies, even April, and they all look terrible. Like I looked at all of them, I was like, oh, that looks terrible. Like, oof, well, I don't know about that. And so, yeah, this is in large part Disney's fault, and maybe to a slightly lesser extent the other big studios and stuff. But
it's also the audience's fault for spending where to put their money, and it's like 100%. TV's fault and streaming's fault because you know, we're in this. I mean, what is a movie even? Like, what justifies being a movie at this point? We've talked about this on the show before, so like, there's all these complicating factors for sure.
Yeah. It's just an interesting spot. Like, I would like in the old days, really even 10 years ago, if you make a huge blockbuster movie, part of that was like the Sony business model was like every Spider-Man movie we make, that's paying for 3 or 4 other, you know, sort of mid-budget movies for adults and stuff. So I would like I think something Disney could do that would help in terms of their perception, although it would be essentially setting money on fire, probably, given how things go with the original. But I think that they would be wise to take that short-term loss to say, hey, The Little Mermaid's paying for these 4 original movies, and 3 of them are going to be directed by people of color and you know, or women or whatever else. And like, we are investing some of the money that we are getting on these huge movies into new and upcoming voices in filmmaking. And sort of trying to revive that mid-budget kind of thing. I think that would be it'd be a smart PR move. I don't know that it would be a smart business move. So that's the thing. But yes, in a perfect world, as we try to blend art with consumerism and capitalism and whatnot, like, it would be great if you could spend some of that profit to make something that is not a huge bajillion-dollar movie that is only designed to make money or mostly designed to make money, number one. And number two, if those movies that you do make in that world could have a little bit more ambition and attempt at real quality. I think this to bring it back to The Little Mermaid, I think this movie goes about halfway in that direction, personally, but it's maybe not enough. Yeah. I would love to, I just think we live in a world now where you can make a big budget, huge movie that is designed to make money that is also very good. And we've seen that done. We've seen that done within the Disney apparatus many times over the 10 years of this podcast. And we've seen it done outside of the Disney apparatus. And so for these ones to, I think, relatively consistently kind of miss that mark is an odd and a little bit frustrating to deal with and to go through. And to your point, just to wrap it up, I think part of the reason why we feel like these come out constantly, Kent, is because Aladdin and The Lion King came out like 2 months apart.
And Dumbo.
And that, and that really just felt like, oh my gosh, can we get a break from this? And then in reality, we have.
And it's because the uproar is so severe every time one's announced that it feels like it's 100%. Like 6 months of like people arguing online about it.
For sure.
Before it comes out. When every trailer drops, it's like a new...
And we think about...
stoking the fire, so...
When we think about them in relation to other... film studios, entertainment companies, all of that. And we like relate Disney to, these different ones. What can they be doing to drive this industry? And it's true. I mean, a lot of that, they, as the leader of that industry, especially as they continue to consolidate by like buying up any potential competitor, they have a responsibility to do so. But also, like, I'm looking at right now, they're 53rd on the Fortune 500. Like, around them is Albertsons, Prudential, Energy Transfer, which is pipelines, and Lockheed Martin. Like, they also have to think like those companies too, And so
exactly,
like it gets really messy.
They have, well, to Brian's point, we'll see where they put their money. I mean, if a lot of great Fox Searchlight projects come out in the next few years, and we'll know why. Sure. I think they have avenues now to put out some interesting stuff, and it's just not going to be Walt Disney Pictures all the time. They've made some really bad ones for like Disney Plus, though, that have gotten put on there, not promoted. That's just like, how were they ever even paying money for this? One of the main takeaways for me with this remake, 2 hours, guys. If the goal is to make money, do they not know that every minute that they extend this thing costs like tens of millions of dollars to produce? Wouldn't you think it would be like, we need to make this thing 90 minutes?
Well, and like churn that theater around. Like, if they were really thinking purely capitalistically, which we kind of assume at least is a big weight of this, right? When you're remaking these this kind of IP, I would be like, cool. Well, how many times can we turn that Cinemark number 13 around and why isn't it 90 minutes? Like, can you show me on a spreadsheet and justify the extra 45 minutes when I'm going to lose 3 screenings a day or whatever that equals?
I just don't understand why in the initial meeting, they just are so insistent on like, we need to extend this story out. We need to make this world. No one is going to these to see like the world extended beyond anything that they expect. I can't.
I will. I'm not going to push back on that concept. I will say this. I went back and rewatched the 89 Little Mermaid yesterday while I was working on stuff. It feels like the most rushed 90-minute movie of all time. Like, it is... I don't even know if I would say it's flying. It's just like, wait, hold on. We're already... Like, I hadn't seen that movie in so long. Maybe not as, like... certainly not in the the Mad About Movies era, as we like to call it. It's been a really long time. It was so rushed and the pacing was so wheels off. Like, I can see, not necessarily we need to drag this thing out by any means, but like, I can see the sitting down and saying, all right, guys, we're making The Little Mermaid. What are your initial thoughts on what we need to do here? And someone says, guys, that movie feels so rushed. We gotta space it out a little bit. We gotta have some pacing here. Now, again, you probably would like to find ways to do that within an hour 30, hour 40, instead of pushing it out to 2 hours plus. Like maybe we cut a scene here, could do something a little bit different there, or just hire a director who actually knows what he's doing instead of Rob Marshall. But I felt that exact same way coming out of the movie in the theaters. And then when I went back and rewatched the original one, I was like, gosh, I think I'm glad that they stretched it out a little bit, because this feels so quickly, poorly paced.
I just thought, I thought the last act was it dragged so hard. And then when the Scuttlebutt song came on, that was terrorism. That was the worst thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
Guys, did you know Aquafina was a rapper? We need to get that. We need to let people know that again. That was so bad. So I guess I'm okay with extending a movie out if it's good. Maybe it was because it was so bad. The guy that played King Eric couldn't sing at all.
He was a buzz.
I mean, was that not part of the audition, singing in this movie? I mean, I'm with you, Brian. I think Disney learned their lesson on Beauty and the Beast. Like, okay, we can't cast people that can't sing anymore when it's such a singing heavy. So, obviously Chloe, or Halle Bailey, not Chloe, she has a great voice. I thought she was fantastic with the songs. And Rachel Zegler's in the next Snow White. She's fantastic. So it feels like they've learned their lessons. Like, we need great singers in these to carry them. And regardless of what they look like, whether they fit the people being offended that they don't look like an animated character is so funny to me.
It's like the
it's animation,
most insane level of online ridiculousness. Oh my God.
But guys, also mermaids don't exist. You know that too. They never did either. It's all fake too.
Sarah's been watching some Netflix documentary about mer people that it's kind of like furries,
Oh, okay.
I thought Ariel was great, but I mean, I had the same problem with the Lion King of the side characters just being generic animals.
Yeah.
Here's my question. Because, I mean, as a kid, I would have loved it if you had told me, oh, Kent, they're making Peter Pan in live action. Kent, they're making Little Mermaid in live action. I would have been all in. I'd be like, I need it, right? Is it worth the trade-off of losing basically what makes the animated movies good, which is personality?
Yeah, I know.
Right? Is it worth the trade-off of personality to see a real fish swimming around?
Yeah, exactly. And that, like, when you watch those old cartoons, I watched Little Mermaid recently too, and it's like that like Flounder emotes so much, like cartoonishly so. See what I did there? There's a reason that's an expression, and like it's so funny to just drop. It's crazy how much their faces move to express everything in that style, and then just to not have it.
I thought Sebastian was fine, but Flounder was it was. Did you see the memes going around about like the character posters? That was just like a random fish, and it was like Joe, the Little Mermaid. It's like
we had to get. You got to get Tremblay apart, though. You got to let Jacob Tremblay cook.
Tremblay is how old do you think he is? Don't look this up.
Oh gosh,
just guessing. After seeing this movie, how old would you think?
Yeah, after seeing the movie, I just math on what he's done before. I have one guess, but just basing off this performance, like 10.
He's 16.
Yeah, that makes more sense age-wise. But yeah.
They might have recorded this thing like 3 years ago.
Yeah, pre-pandy. Yeah.
Just get it in the can before this kid ages. Because I felt like Room was like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And this kid's still getting like young child actor roles. That's pretty amazing. You think that well would dry up after like a year and a half, right? but he's still doing it. That Little Mermaid check. Yeah, I thought he was good as Luca too. He's the voice of Luca.
It was, yeah.
So yeah, I thought the remade songs were fine. You know, obviously I'm attached to the originals, but what did you think of McCarthy as Ursula?
Gravity wise, like she couldn't fall down in the water, so that takes away one of her moves.
Did
So
you see
she's
the
already
fart bubbles,
working
though,
with,
that were going up the whole time.
Yeah, she does. Yeah, she was fine. You know, I was actually thought Javier was worse. Seemed like he didn't really want to be there.
He looked uncomfortable
Yeah.
in the water. It was weird.
Yeah, I
Didn't love
I
that
thought he
rig.
was among the not worst singers, but like worst performers in the movie. But it seems like he didn't screen test or anything for it. They were just like, "Oh, we can get Javier Bardem," and then they got there. They're like, "Oh, this is weird."
He has a weird vibe for this, I feel like.
Yeah.
It's like you can't not see.
Yeah, and it was
Anton
weird. He
Sugar or
wore the
something. It's just-
Anton wig in the water.
I don't even know how that
How did he keep
I
a
don't even know
chili
how the
bowl
air
up?
gun works
Yeah.
underwater. But
Yeah, God knows the coin flip doesn't, but
yeah, it's just executing barracudas left and right. I don't know. It was kind of weird.
and I don't like. I've decided. I think Hamilton's one of the best pieces of work in any medium of the last 15 years. It's great. It serves all the accolades. It's a really inventive, cool thing. I hate everything that's come after it. Like that's inspired it, unless it's in that setting. It's so corny. Everything he does.
The Lin-Manuel songs.
Yeah,
and stuff?
like just
Yeah.
the stuff he writes. I hate it so much outside of that little.
No, you're a
And in
big
the Heights is
marimbas
fine.
guy. You've got marimbas, a room of marimbas in your house.
Yes.
You
Me
wake
and
up
Paul,
in marimba and
Paul
bongo.
Simon comes over and we bongo and marimba until we pass
Yeah.
out.
I'm with you. Yeah, it's all underwhelming. It's like when you see his name, it's like, oh, Lin-Manuel's doing the
Yeah.
songs. This can be great. And then, Brian, I want you to sing your favorite new song from the movie right now. Go.
That doesn't.
You can't do it.
Eric had that one song. I guess was new.
That was.
I didn't
so-
mind the Aquafina rap. If I'm going to be honest with
Oh,
you,
God.
I know that
We
makes
can't
me
be friends
Oh,
anymore.
I'll remember that.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Coming to you on vinyl.
Sorry.
Hey,
I'm not saying I changed it to my ringtone.
No,
I'm
but
just-
it is
just
now.
saying.
We will do that.
Aquafina occupies this weird space where, for me, when I see her name and I like think of what the voice is going to be, I'm like, ugh, I don't know if I can do this. And then she comes on screen, or her animated character comes on screen. I'm like, I kind of like this. I'm okay.
Yeah.
I commend her for not annoying me, because it seems like
Well, that name
she
is
should annoy
absurd.
me.
It pre-annoys
agree.
me. Yeah. You see the word Aquafina.
100%, especially in a world where BoJack Horseman exists,
Yeah.
and they did Aquafina.
Fair.
But no, she's I commend her for not.
Could be worth
annoying me.
it. Could be Dasani.
It could be, yeah,
Big Ozarka guy.
but not Deja Blue.
Yeah.
Ugh,
Yeah.
can't go that way.
Yeah.
So
No, look, the songs are obviously a massive part of this whole thing. I think these original songs are incredible, like just top tier.
Oh yeah, they are, man.
Disney songs.
Little Mermaid-
This whole era.
Little
so
Mermaid
good.
goes, man.
Yeah,
Like the OG.
It kills.
It's great.
And some of these I think are close to maybe even touching better, and some of them aren't. I thought that it may have been theater, because I know that's a huge part of seeing a movie now, is like you never know when you're going to catch a theater that has crappy speakers that day or whatever. I thought the mix was too low on the music, honestly.
Mhm.
I thought I was expecting some of the music elements, I don't mean just the sing, I mean the instrumentation and all that sort of stuff,
to be
the
better.
sound
Yeah,
part
it's-
of it.
to be
a
richer.
lot-
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought I'm with you. The arrangements
Okay.
weren't on the par of the original. You know, I don't know if that's like we need to pull it back and like hear the vocals more or something. But
Mhm.
I'm with you. They didn't emote. The songs didn't have the punch that they had in the original. The one for me that really hit in the original when I was younger was the "Kiss the Girl" song.
Uh-huh.
That I thought was such a pretty song.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't work in this movie nearly as well.
That was the number one to me, where I felt like I liked Daveed Diggs' performance. Sebastian was really good.
I thought he was the
felt
best side character for sure.
He was.
Sure, and I liked his vocal stuff more than I did the original Little Mermaid. But that song is the one more than anywhere else where I felt like the sound mix was honestly was bad. It was just too low, and it wasn't. I thought that should have really. You should feel like the crab is speaking into your ear, and the music is like really coming at you and like sort of pushing in that direction.
Yeah.
And it didn't have that at all. And I was very. That was like one of those things that, you know, we get in the car and Lindsay's like, "I love that. What did you think?" And I was like, it was fine. I liked it. Fine enough. You know, here's some things I really like. And she says, "What do you not like?" And I was like, And I started listing off all these technical things that usually, to be honest, I mean, anybody who listens to this show knows I don't really notice those things all that frequently. It was pretty obvious, unfortunately, like some of the technical problems, and that annoyed me. Like, and that was a big one. And that song in particular, I'm like, come on, guys, like, let's get this mix going a little bit, because this is a great song. Like, we gotta, and it's a song that we all know too. And there's something about, I don't know. I was disappointed on that front.
I'm with you. So Disney has tried to make original blockbuster live action movies before. Does anyone remember Tomorrowland? I didn't think so.
Right.
Yeah,
It flopped.
Vaguely.
Remember John Carter?
Yeah.
No, it flopped as well. So
That one hurts.
I hear you that you want new original stuff, but they've tried it and it just hasn't worked. There's not like a lot of proof in the pudding, so to speak, for them to really go in that direction. So that's a little disappointing. Did you guys see the end credits scene? Did you stay past the credits?
No, I didn't.
I didn't think there was one.
Oh.
No.
It's Remy from Ratatouille. He's cooking up a nice little garlic Parmesan flounder.
Oh,
So I think they're gonna cross
Got
this
real
over
dark.
with a
Yeah.
live action
Sorry,
Ratatouille
Tremblay.
or something. Kind of morbid, but like,
Kids got to know.
but it's not
you know?
like cool Disney, modern animal animation. It's the rat robot from the first Ninja Turtles. He looks rough.
Splinter.
Yeah, it's
It
the
looks like the
Splinter-
Pete Davidson weasel in Suicide
Yeah,
Squad.
exactly.
And he didn't have to fillet flounder while he was still alive
Yeah.
either. Like
That
that
was
was
too
too
much,
much for the
honestly.
kids. But hey, it's
Well, it was
post credits,
shrieking.
kind of a little bonus. All right, let's hit a grade here for this one. I thought Halle Bailey's singing was kind of what redeemed this from being a total disaster, in my opinion.
She
So-
can't be named Halle Bailey, though, right? We have to do something about this.
right. Halle Berry, right?
Right. It's just,
Yeah.
it'd be like if there was a new hot, young, great actor and his name was George Clooney. We'd be like, you got to,
George Clooney.
One of you's got to change your name.
Yeah.
You can fight for it. But
yeah.
somebody's.
I'm not doing both. I'm not going to mess, I'm going to mess it up a million times. Can we just get out of this?
Right.
I messed it up with her sister, Chloe, already. That's
Yeah.
even more confusing.
Yeah,
She has
exactly.
a twin, right?
For sure.
Okay, I thought she was great, and what redeemed it from being a total disaster. This was my favorite one probably since, I don't know, I liked Peter Pan and Wendy, but that doesn't count. Since the theatrical one's probably my favorite one since, I don't know, the Jungle Book, maybe?
Mm.
Didn't like Aladdin, didn't like The Lion King or Beauty and the Beast, so I'm going to give this one a B-. Brian, what about you?
I'm a little higher. I think she's great. We probably didn't talk enough about her. She, man, the vocal stuff was incredible. She was a good enough actress too, and I think that is maybe that's all you're looking for in some ways. I mean, I don't think she was like a great intuitive actress, but that will come. But more importantly, it's the vocal side of it, and she crushed it. So love that. I thought some of the side characters were fine and fun enough. It's the Rob Marshall effect to me, guys. Like, I just think he is such a hack, and so anytime
Oscar
I'll
winner.
put it this way, I kind of forgotten that he was the director of this, and I, like 10 minutes in, I was like, gosh, it's a really weird directorial choice. I don't even remember exactly what I was thinking. I was like, gosh, this is just kind of lame directory wise. It's like, who directed? And then I remember, oh, it's freaking Rob Marshall. Of course. Like, just such a bum. I don't know. It was a lot of things could have been better here. I feel like if they just would have put somebody behind the camera who has any sort of ambition or artistry. So that's the real holdback for me. But yeah, I mean, I'll go B. I'm right between a B and a B plus. I'll go to B. Richard, what about you?
I'm lower than you guys. The Rob Marshall effect. Some of the stuff was so like corny, cringy, and yeah. So I'm gonna go solid C, not plus or minus, just C.
Do you want to make a podcast? Spotify's got a platform that lets you make one super easily, then distribute it everywhere, and even earn money all in one place for free. It's called Spotify for Podcasters, and here's how it works. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit podcasts right from your phone or computer, so no matter what your setup's like, you can start creating today. Then, you can distribute your podcast to Spotify and everywhere else podcasts are heard. And video podcasts are also available on Spotify. With Spotify for Podcasters, you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. Best of all, it's totally free with no catch. Ever since we started using Spotify for Podcasters on Mad About Movies, it's made it super easy to get our show posted and out to all of the Man Fam. We highly recommend you give it a try. Download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to spotify.com/podcasters to get started. All right, there you go. There's Little Mermaid grades. Let's hit a quick
Weekly recommends.
What you got for us this week, Richard?
I finally got around to doing, I know you guys both read this, and then I love the documentary, but I finally got around to reading the Meet Me in the Bathroom book.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah.
Oh, nice.
So, really enjoyed it. Good oral history of that whole scene, and definitely has a lot more to it than the doc. So, yep, that's my weekly recommend. Meet Me in the Bathroom by Lizzie Goodman.
I've been on such a Strokes kick, like
Me too.
the past year.
Same.
And I've always liked the Strokes, bought their records when I was growing up and stuff, but hadn't listened to them consistently probably over the past decade, but like the past year I have, and I've been loving it, man. They're awesome.
I know. They're great. Excited for that new one.
Oh, I am too. Hopefully they get on that sooner rather than later. Another Rick Rubin record. Not going to suck. All right. What you got, Brian?
I'm going to recommend a book that I've probably recommended before. It's actually a series, but the first book is Red Rising. So the series is called Red Rising as well. It's a science fiction fantasy. It really might be my favorite series of books at this point. I love these books. I know I recommended it a few years ago. There's an original trilogy, Red Rising, Golden Sun, and Morning Star. It's kind of like a combination of like it's sort of Hunger Games, Game of Thrones, and Dune kind of mixed together. Really well written by Pierce Brown is the author. It does just a great job of world building and character building. And anyway, the original trilogy came out a few years ago. I loved it. And then he has a sequel trilogy or a quadrilogy maybe that I've not read the first two books in it because I had heard the second book especially ended on a terrible cliffhanger, and I don't want to. I know you guys don't read a lot of fantasy or science fiction. Like the worst thing with the fantasy series is some of these books are like 30 hours or 40 hours long. Not this series, but a lot of those other like high fantasy series, and it'll be like, all right, it's a 40-hour book, and the sequel is 48 hours, and then in 14 years I'll put out the third one. And you're just like, oh my god, I don't want to deal with waiting forever to know what happens with this. So the third book in the sequel series comes out this summer, like late July, I think. So I started doing a reread of this series, and I love it. It's just so good, and I know a lot of listeners have heard me in the past and read the book afterwards, and so if you're new and you don't know, definitely if you're into that if you're into sci-fi or fantasy at all, I like that. This is probably the third time I've read through, and I like it more every time. It's so good. So Red Rising is the series by Pierce Brown. Check that out.
Cool. What about you, Kent?
I'm going to recommend a movie And it's kind of a two-part recommend. I've been reading the Cinema Speculation, the Tarantino book.
Nice, yeah.
But I started reading it. I got a few chapters in. I'm like, I want to watch the movies and then read the chapters, right? Because I want to have a frame of reference for everything he's talking about here. And so I've been watching the movie, then read the chapter, then watch the movie, then read the chapter, because it's kind of broken up that way. I've been loving it. So definitely recommend doing that if you read the Tarantino book. But I'm going to recommend one of the movies he talks about, The Getaway. 1972, stars Steve McQueen, Ali McGraw. It's kind of a heist, kind of a Bonnie and Clyde type story. Sam Peckinpah directed it, who also brought us The Wild Bunch. So great little crime thriller from the early 70s that is worth your time. And also the book, read the chapter on it and all that. But yeah, man, loving it so far.
Awesome. That's great.
So many movies out there, man. There's just so many great, there's so much content. I don't know how anyone could be upset with content right now. I mean, there's so much like stuff to go back and watch. I mean, even for us who watch 1,000 movies a year, I mean, I'm still finding new stuff. So check that one out for you. The Getaway.
Awesome.
All right.
Steve McQueen movies.
Dude, he
best.
doesn't even speak. He might have 5 lines in the movie. He's just the most like
awesome.
So cool.
camera loves him, king of cool type guy of all time. Just so cool. All right.
We're doing a Bullet throwback.
Are we?
Summer. Looking forward to
He
that.
talks about that. There's a chapter
Either
on that
June or
as well
July, I
in
can't
the book.
remember. Yeah. Bullet rules.
Bullet is greatness.
It'll be fun.
There's Dirty Harry chapter. There's one on Deliverance, which I just watched recently. It's probably worth an episode at some point too. But yeah, The Getaway. Check it out. All right, there you go. There's weekly recommends and some Little Mermaid talk for you. We'll be back next week talking Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Cool. So stay tuned for that and see it this weekend. We'll see you next time at the cinema, and we'll talk Godzilla in the VIP. See you later. Bye.
Hey baby, I hear the blues are calling, tossed salads and scrambled eggs. And maybe I seem a bit confused. Yeah, maybe, but I got you pegged. But I don't know what to do with those tossed salads and scrambled eggs. They're calling again. Scrambled eggs all over my face.
They're making me yah-yah. The salads and scrambled eggs.